That's a hell of an intro. I got nothing for you. Clap. Hello out there, Packer Nation, and welcome to another edition of the Absolute Packer Podcast. We are on to episode 83, which I'm going to call Crunchin' Cap, as an homage to all the crunching of the cap we have to do this offseason, because right now the Packers are 30. Oh, no, wait, not 30, 22.
21.
21. Okay, 21 over the cap. Now that they have restructured David Bakhtiari's deal, which we will get into in a moment. But without further ado, I am Andrew Hetzel, and with me, as always, Jeremy Hautala, Elliot Christensen. What's up, gentlemen?
Yeah. It's ice cold here, but
freezing our butts off.
Yeah, but that's the tundra. That's why we love being here, because we love freezing to death. It's awesome.
It's like he's reading a cue card. This is why we love living here. It is so cold. Yes. Back to you, John.
Why do you have? That's what the guns are pointing at me in the cue cards. Why did you do this? I don't understand why you did all this if you didn't want me to read them.
Fart noise. Okay. So, anywho, I assume so. You guys are okay.
No.
Right?
No,
not okay. You're cold. No. Here. I think it's a formality. Oh, everybody's okay. No, okay. So it's going to be an airing of grievances now.
I mean, let's be real. Nobody on planet Earth is actually okay right now. But
you think we're in the middle of a pandemic?
We're particularly not okay. It's like minus 50,000. I don't even. I thought
it was. I think this morning minus 25 with the wind chill.
Well, wind chills for babies, but
it's so stupid that they say here's the temperature and here's the temperature with the wind chill. Just call the temperature with the wind chill, please. Don't make it go. Without the wind chill, it's minus 25, but without it's minus 8. So we got that going for us. And then a black cat crossed my path as a sign of good luck.
I know.
What's up, Pudge? All right. So we're in the off season. Obviously, Super Bowl's behind us. Lots of stuff going on. There's still
Lombardi trophies in the water.
Yeah, Tom Brady threw it to another boat. And I saw some article where it was like, oh, he should immediately apologize and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, must be nice to be able to toss one of your 7 Lombardi trophies and not even know which one you're tossing.
So cavalier. I don't know. Which one's this 20 what?
Okay, think about this thing. He could have thrown that out in the middle of the ocean. It could have sunk to the bottom, and he would have been like, oh, I got 6 more though.
That's a casualty of winning.
I know, really. These are the to the victor go the spoils, or whatever, as they say. It's like you can do that kind of crap and people can piss and moan about it. But anyway, so there's going to be a suppressed cap in 2021.
It sounds like a disease.
Yeah, I know, doesn't it? As they call a disease of despair. You ever heard that term, the diseases of despair? My cap is going down by millions of dollars. I'm in despair. Oh, how the other half lives. Okay, so I don't know if they've come out with what the number is going to be, but before they announced the restructuring of David Bakhtiari's deal, which he just signed, they were like, what, 31 million over the cap as it stood? Is that correct, Jeremy?
Yeah, 31.
Now they're not the only.
What's a million between friends?
Yeah, right. between friends,
right?
Now, look, the Packers aren't the only team that is in this position, but they are one that I think is probably on the higher end of it, though. I mean, some others are probably up against it, but the Packers have got to be up. I mean, the Saints have got to be.
The Saints are about 100 and some million over.
I lied. They're a lot more over.
Yeah,
Jeez,
they're ridiculous.
Over. Jeez Louise.
Well, do you think they were stacked?
Yeah. How'd that work out for them?
Well, and that's part of that's what we're dealing with, is that we went all in 2018-19, and now we're kind of dealing with the aftermath because we gave out all those contracts, to all those 4 free agents, and guess what?
Yeah.
We're stuck now. But, in David Bakhtiari's case, the nice thing about all contracts is you can pretty much, every contract these days has things called roster bonuses. And what they do is like on the first day of the league year, which is March 17th, 18th, somewhere around there, they just write you a check. And what they did in Bakhtiari's case, he had $11.1 million roster bonus coming. They just gave it to him as a signing bonus. So it's just immediate right into his bank account.
And what that they do somehow relieves the cap.
And what they do with that, though, is they spread it out over the remaining years of his contract. He has 3 years, so you spread that out, and it's a lot less of a hit than, the 11 and some $11 million that the roster bonus was. So they save themselves $8.3 million, and he gets a nice little check in the mail or in his bank account the next day. So
the check is in the mail, Bakhtiari. Well, we forget the guy got injured late in the season, tore his ACL. When do you think he's going to be back and ready to go? It's not going to be in the beginning of the season. I cannot see that.
Yeah, I mean, an ACL is like a 10-month recovery, and that's on the low end. Usually we're talking at least
and with
a year.
The Packers, they are not going to force him out.
Well, and the problem with it too is you have that. Once you recover, I mean, you have all the rehab, and literally you're recovering after you come back. Yep. And all these players take a year to come back and actually get into football shape, like you mentioned.
I mean, I'm going to call it a year. It's probably going to be, he's not going to be back, if he does get back to himself to his level of play or very, very close to it this coming season. It's going to be mid-season is basically what I'm thinking, if that happens.
I mean, they're going to push. They're going to push to have him back for week 1.
The Packers, you think? Doc McKenzie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're not going to be stupid, but at the same time,
right.
You're not paying them chump change. So,
nope.
What about Rodgers? Is there any talk of doing anything with his? I mean, there's talk that they might move around some money with him. There's been, I don't know, all this kind of hyperbole going on, but who the heck knows? But is there anything they could do with his contract to help out with the cap?
Oh yeah, just
will they do it? I guess is the question.
Restructure.
He hates winning.
Wow, that is brutal. But it's true, though. It's true.
It is true. I think any of these jerk faces that wanted these giant paydays,
right?
I'm sorry. We'll see. We're gonna see. Ooh. We want to. I don't know. Like,
Elliot Free Market Christensen is chiming in.
You know what? Part of the free market though is not extorting your customer.
That's true. But if the market if the market allows extortion, you extort.
Well, but now the market is not doing so well, and put this in the context of Aaron Rodgers is your cable bill, and the economy took a digger. Maybe your spouse lost their job. You don't have as much money coming in. Yeah. Cable goes up in price. You're like, yeah, I don't need cable that bad.
That's funny. Imagine
I don't know.
It's just your cable bill.
I don't know. I mean,
cable guy.
I mean, it's all dollars, and he made it clear that he understands it's a business. So, do you though?
I hear it. I mean,
I still wouldn't want anybody else, So it's not like I'm saying let's get rid of him and get in Jordan Lover,
Remember the Manhattan Project? That's what we.
So I'm not saying that, and I want them to be, I want them to be socialist collaborators on this experiment of contract renegotiation. Okay,
you just
knock me over with a feather.
But they need to do that.
Socialist collaborators.
But they got to get that done. I'm sorry. You know what? The NFL is the most socialist enterprise there is. Let's be real.
Well, the whole damn thing is one giant monopoly. It's not like whatever.
Well, it's a cartel, So but anyway, they need to take care of that, and not just Aaron Rodgers. I think all of these. I think it's just poor taste now. It was a different story back when he signed, right? But the world changed, and now it's bad. Do you remember now it's bad taste. Now it's bad taste.
I mean, look, around 2010. 10 years ago-ish, to your point, that was when QB salaries were getting out of control. Yeah. You had you had guys coming out of college getting $100 million deals that hadn't even stepped foot on the field.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, obviously guys are still getting paid and still getting a ton of money, but man, that was a mess. But I mean, So right now, basically, what we're doing is we're just looking at everything like what could they do, and let's play some little what ifs and all.
And
this
I'm not saying he's got to take a 50% cut. I'm saying give something, give a token, give a token.
Yeah,
It's a team sport, and if anything, I think Tampa Bay really exemplified that. Like, as much bad juju the whole country wants to give them, right? I'm trying to keep this family friendly. Those were not the words I would have chosen, but but they won as a team. They were good on both sides of the ball. They improved through the season. Like they we need that.
They were kind of a super team in some respects, but yeah,
we had that. But we gotta, if you want to keep that ball rolling, and your quarterback's he's another year older, and you got to up your game. You can't hold any cards back.
And I think that's where I think this opens the whole Pandora's box here, because Andy sent a great video that JT O'Sullivan, an ex-NFL quarterback, he has his own podcast. What is it called? The QB Coach?
I can't remember what it's something like that. I stumbled on it out of nowhere, but I was like halfway into it. I was like, "Whoa, this is good."
It was a great.
You know what? Who doesn't? This USB cable has a podcast. Everybody's got a podcast.
Those two have a podcast. See up there? It's called How to Be Lazy. Anyway,
podcast bubble.
What were you talking about there, Jeremy?
Sorry.
Look at that face. I'm sorry. I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. I can't even. Gosh. I literally can't.
You guys are off the rails tonight.
I am.
No, we were talking about moving money around and stuff like.
No, I know.
JT O'Sullivan.
JT O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
He and like I said, I think it's the QB coach. If anybody wants to get a real in-depth analysis of the Packer-Tampa game, go watch this.
I think he chose like 6 plays from that game.
He does a phenomenal job, and he really critiqued the last offensive series the Packers had, where they're on the 8-yard line and they couldn't get it in. And you know what? Rodgers, he screwed up a few times, and so did everybody else. So, yeah. But that, and we're getting back to Elliot's point, as a collaborative, the whole team has to pitch in. Rodgers didn't pitch in on 2 downs, and Alan Lazard, didn't pitch in on another down. So, go watch that. It's a really great clip. But I mean, that the 3rd down play, when he could have scrambled for a touchdown possibly, or thrown it to Devontae Adams, he had him earlier. And if he would just make that snap throw, which Rodgers is pretty good at making decisions, but he, for some reason, held that ball and waited till he was double covered, and the throw was gonna, it wasn't gonna be caught.
The pressure got to Rodgers in that game.
It did, and
he got to Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Right, and when a quarterback is constantly watching over their back, you get happy feet, and then all of a sudden you start hearing feet in your mind.
Yeah, and I hate to say it. I mean, look, Rodgers is culpable, no doubt, but when other guys around you are screwing up too, you're like, is this guy gonna? I think some of that, as the game goes on, you see some of that, you're like, start to lose trust in anybody but not named Devontae. I don't know.
Well, and I think those are, it's weird because Rodgers and Mahomes are so tied together because of those stupid commercials, right? And but it's very telling, because they put themselves, it's like, okay, we're in this quarterback club, the two of us, and our team, they're important, but it's really us, and partly by being there together, it really makes that statement. And I know that they're not intending that, and I know they talk a good talk, but I really think, if you're not going to do it with your words and your actions, you got to do it with your money. You should do it with all three. You should be. And I think Brady does that. I'm not a fan of. I think Brady's overrated as a player, but I think we all take for granted the what he does off the field. I think there's some inspiring.
You mean the contract stuff and all? Stuff?
I think he's more willing to be real when it comes to contracts, and I think he's a better team player. I think he's more willing to
Oh yeah.
just be collaborative, to be inspiring,
And just be part of the puzzle, not the,
Yeah,
I think there's something to that. I think there's something to that. Yeah.
No, he does. I mean, and I had to go back and I had to watch everything, and the Super Bowl just really impressed me because obviously Tampa's defense just dominated, but Tom Brady, all he did was just manage the game. That's all he did.
That's all he's ever really done.
But that's all you got to do.
Yeah,
that's all you have to do.
That's really the game.
All you do is you take the players that you're given and you just execute, and that's as simple as that.
Yeah, it really can be. It really can be.
They call him the check down king, but it's like the check down king got 7 rings.
What? You know what though? The check down king. You know what? Like, if that's such an easy thing, why didn't Rodgers and Mahomes do it?
Yeah, I got you.
Why were there no check downs? Why did that not happen?
Right. But you know what though? The key to it, it's the tried and true way of winning these days, and it's been going this way for decades, is defense wins championships, okay? But if you're going to go with a franchise quarterback like you are in Mahomes and Rodgers, you invest the heck out of that offensive line, because that's your bread and butter right there. That's your
one of the trenches.
Right. That is one of the trenches.
One of the 2 trenches.
That is one of the 2 trenches. You are exactly right. And, this offseason, it's going to be very telling, just because, like you said, Bakhtiari is probably going to be on the edge of being ready for the next season. And then they have Rick
Lindsley's
Wagner.
going to probably be gone. Do you think that there's a chance he comes back?
No.
I don't see how he does either.
You know what? The market, I mean, if you look at past free agents,
the guy's a freaking all-pro. He's an all-pro center, isn't he?
Yes. Tampa Bay's center left Baltimore 2 or 3 years ago as the highest paid center in the league, averaging roughly $15 million a year.
Wow.
That was 2 or 3 years ago. Lindsley is going to command that most definitely.
And he deserves it. He's great.
Offensive linemen, they get their payday. But I think when the Packers look at it, I mean, like Rick Wagner, there's talk about, releasing him because they want to save cap room. His cap hit is like $5.5 million for a rotational. I'm sure
someone like,
tackle.
But they drafted 3 offensive linemen last year,
but none of them were tackles. This game, yeah, none of them were tackles. Runyon was a guard.
Do they project him? I guess that's the thing.
No,
they project?
Stepaniak was a guard, and then Hansen was a center. They drafted all interior guys. They did not draft one tackle. So right now, their depth at the tackle position is not good. So they're left with Rick Wagner, Josh Nimman, and then a bunch of nobodies. Like, I was telling you guys, I was going through like mock drafts and all that because I'm really trying to get a gauge on how the Packers are going to play this out. And I'm telling you what,
good luck. They're going to trade up in the first round for a punter.
I was going to say draft one, like 5th round. But the first round is shaping up like an offensive lineman. If they don't trade out of that pick,
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with it too. They have to invest in the trenches, like you said. Both sides of the ball. That's where they really have to. I mean, honestly, the way that they've tried to build their team, it just hasn't worked. They have to try something else now. They have to turn the page and get beyond what they've tried.
Yeah, what they're doing is getting themselves to the NFC Championship game, and that's the ceiling. I mean,
it is. With the way that their teams are configured, that is their ceiling.
Yeah, and I mean that sounds so entitled in a way, but it's like they're not getting past the conference championship game right now.
I would love to just spend a season just like inside the walls,
fly on the wall.
Yeah, the whole cliche thing, because I would just love to know, like, do they talk about this stuff when they're just there?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, does management just say to Rodgers, like, this would go a lot easier if we had a little more money to spend?
Well, and his counter to that is, okay, give me a larger signing bonus, we'll call it a day.
And does he say that? I mean, maybe they could work with that. They have money. They're not hurting as bad. I think the Packers are could actually do some of these things.
Here's look. I think with that whole thing, the thing we truly don't know, we can extrapolate all we want, but it's like, did anybody Did you guys see Rodgers lighting the world on fire this year and be an MVP? I didn't see him being MVP. I saw him maybe being a little bit better than he was last year because it was the second year in the offense. But considering they didn't help him out with any new weapons, they didn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? The draft was like, I was like,
okay. I mean, that's a good counter to what I'm saying, right? Like,
so kind of, yeah. What I guess what I'm kind of saying there is, I think they're like, well, Rodgers, he, I don't want to say he's done, but he might be now in that second notch of quarterbacks or whatever. So they're trying to play that, and then this kind of wrenches their plans, And maybe, just maybe, they were thinking Jordan Love, the Manhattan Project, as I dubbed him. Maybe they thought he was actually going to progress better in this offseason. I mean, he didn't even dress. If they release Tim Boyle and they think that Love's not even ready to be a backup.
That was the intended plan.
So even that didn't work out. So it's like Rodgers went way beyond what they probably thought, and Love kind of tanked in a way. So we don't know. That's a good question, though, Elliot. I mean, what are they talking about? Speaking of being a fly on the wall and what they've been talking about, maybe they had a poster of J.J. Watt. They're trying to figure out ways to bring J.J. Watt in here. So he was released, as we know, he was released by the Texans, and there's going to be many suitors for Mr. Watt. Look, I think the chances of him coming here are very, very slim. I don't think they're zero. And I think the only way he would make it here is to take a lot less money on a short-term deal.
Yeah,
if he's willing to do that, I think he could get here. If not,
listen, he's been paid his money's worth. Right now, he's missing a championship, and he's said that. He said, "I have all the money that I need in the world. I just want a ring now. I want to be a Tom Brady.
Right.
I want to get that." Flash.
If he wants to be a Tom Brady, he's got to win 7 championships in the next 7 years.
So the fact that he's from Wisconsin, and I think people are not looking at this, but I mean, he's from Wisconsin. He's a Packer fan. He was a Packer fan when he was a kid.
That does help.
You know what? I mean, you want to talk about a hometown discount? I think he's willing.
I think he's going to have to take a big one, though, because
he will. I think he will.
If he wants,
if he's willing to take a like I said, I think it's going to be a short-term deal.
I mean,
with incentives and a lot less money than what other teams are paying.
I hope he's on fire, though. Like there are certain players that, like, once they're even if they like, I've never doubted that Donald Driver gave it his all, but in his last season, he just didn't have it as much as he did before that, right?
Well, and it happens. You fall off the cliff.
Yeah, it just happens. But I never doubt that he didn't stop trying. He was giving it his all, right? And I just don't. I don't know that. Is he going to give it his all, and is that going to be enough?
Oh, he will. He will.
Is it going to be enough?
Well, the issue with him is going to be, can his body do it again? I mean, he's gone through some traumatic injuries. That guys would not be the same player, and he was a comeback player. You know what I mean? When he came back from his last knee injury. So can he do it? Yes, I think he can do it. But is he in that upper echelon that he was 5 years ago? Oh, no. He's in that second tier. So you have to take that all into consideration. You can't be giving him $25 million contract.
Yeah.
It's going to be, something very small, very incentive laden, where he gets paid basically to play.
Yep. No, I agree. There's 2 things that were interesting that I heard about JJ Watt. Number one, he's the same exact age that Reggie White was, 31, when the Packers signed him. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And number 2, he was the most double-teamed defensive lineman.
I saw that.
Yep.
That was surprising.
It was surprising to me too.
The most in the league.
Guess who was second?
Za'Darius.
Yeah,
really, I would have thought Aaron Donald, but
yeah, I would not have guessed that would have.
Yeah, I would have thought Aaron Donald would run away with that, but so look, if you're talking about my gut reaction, he's not coming here. The more days pass, and the less money it turns out that's coming that he'd be willing to take, the chances go up. But
well, there's nothing that they can do at this point. It'll all start March 17th.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what there. Nothing can happen till March 17th.
Nope.
Tampering.
I mean, he could sign, but it doesn't officially occur until the first day of the league year.
No, I hear you. So, I mean, you guys gut feel on that?
I'm 50-50 on it. I really believe that there is a shot. Now, and I always look at the situation as, does he fit the scheme? Well, he played in a 3-4 in Houston. So does he? Yeah, he does. Can he fit here? Yeah, he would. And you know what? He would not get the double teams that he would have received in Houston, where he was double teamed well over 30% of the plays, as he would here, because you have Kenny Clark, you have Za'Darius, and whoever, and Rashawn Gary. There's going to be,
also we have Dean Lowry. I mean, he's going to take up teams.
Throw dainty Dean Lowry out to the curb, would you please?
I was just going to say, I put a Slack message on him to you guys earlier. I said they need to approach him, and he needs to take a pay cut.
Oh, he will. He will.
I mean,
he's going to take a pay cut, or he's going to be cut.
Yeah, and I mean that basically the Packers need to be prepared to cut him straight up if he says no. So,
so we all work in the real world, and I don't know why players in the NFL think that they are exempt from the real world realities,
because they sign a contract, and I think a lot of them consider it breach of contract.
Yeah, I mean, every contract I've ever read has acts of God clauses, and that's
force
fine.
Majeure?
Whatever. I mean, I'm not an attorney, and I'm sure that
you don't speak French.
And yeah, exactly. And I'm sure that there would be a bunch of headaches drummed up and whatever. But the reality is, like,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
There was nobody in the stands, and there was a bunch of controversy. So,
and you could really spin it. You could go, Dean. You want to know why nobody was in the stands? Because they were watching you play.
I mean,
I'm so bad.
This is Dean Lowry. You don't have to spin it any which way. You tell him, take a pay cut, or you're gone.
Yeah,
I mean, I do kind of. In some ways, I feel bad because the guy should be a. He's not a starter,
but like top to bottom,
he's a role player.
I just, if you worked for a company and you saw that there were no customers in the business, you would be like, I realize, I see the writing on the wall. I need to take a pay cut this year, or
but
we might.
The NFL is La Land, Elliot. Come on, La Land. They play by a different set of rules. I know what you're saying.
At some point, reality catches up with La La Land, though. I mean, I understand they think they have unlimited bags of money, but every owner does not have unlimited bags of money. And at some point, there is going to be some kind of breaking point somewhere in the there's going to be some, the whole thing is only as strong as its weakest point, right? And I don't think the Packers are the weakest point, but I think we should be the most.
I think the other thing, though, too, is when you look at the NFL, the NFL doesn't have guaranteed contracts.
They do. Kirk Cousins. Case in point.
It's not like the NBA or MLB, though.
Right.
I mean,
right. Like but, I think we have to look forward to the new TV contracts that are coming up here in the next few years. Because, we're going to have a cap recession here. We're going to go down to probably $180 million. But when all these television, like Fox, CBS, NBC, I think ESPN is still signed. But when all those contracts are up, the money is going to be,
massive. Yeah,
they're just going to be huge. And then what that's going to do? It's going to accelerate the salary caps, and you're going to see it just go crazy up. So right now, we're a little stagnant, and we're a little low, but just wait until all these new contracts come out, and the league is going to go ridiculously crazy.
When is the next CBA?
2030.
Is that right?
Or 2031, somewhere around there. Yeah, they signed 10-year
contract. And the TV contract is when?
I don't know exactly, but I know CBS and Fox are coming up here. I know ESPN signed, was it 5 years ago? They signed a $6 billion contract to televise Monday night.
Yeah.
I think they could be coming up here like 2022, 2023. I thought it was a 7 or 8 year contract or something like that. Okay. So,
but the other ones are up pretty
quickly from what I've heard. Yeah.
So the reality is, they could just be off of Fox and CBS, and they could go to Amazon and Netflix.
I was going to say there's got to be someone else in the digital realm, online realm that's going to step up.
Well,
blow somebody out.
Nickelodeon.
But the well, I mean, you laugh. That's why they
Right.
wanted them in on the game, right?
Right.
Well, Nickelodeon's owned by CBS. They're one company, but
Yeah.
and that's probably why CBS wanted to test the waters there, right? But boy, I don't know. I mean, if the NFL becomes a pay to watch, to pay, the only way to watch is to pay.
Yeah,
that will be. I don't think that's good for the long term future of the NFL either. So like
I don't know at all either. I agree.
Like they got to be really careful how they do that. But anyway, not my problem.
Yeah,
but it actually is. I mean, we live in Green Bay, and like the Packers is everything. I mean, we joke like it's not, but it kind of is.
Oh, right.
It kind of is.
It's a pink elephant in the room all the time.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know. Kind of went down a weird rabbit hole there. What else did you get?
Well, we were talking Cap, and we were talking JJ. I'm trying to think, are there any other?
Well, Cap. If we get back to the Cap, are there any other transactions that they could complete to get themselves under?
No, that's good. I mean, look, Devontae's coming up.
Yeah. And you know what? There was an interesting question posed on Twitter. What is going to be the next move that the Packers that they move on? And
probably Devontae.
It was restructure a contract, negotiate a new contract, cut somebody, and then something else. And I said it's going to be a new contract with Devontae. I think that's the next step in their progress to get the salary cap down below whatever they need to do.
I mean, Aaron Jones is gone. Jamal Williams is gone. Corey Linsley's gone.
I think there's still some hope for Jamal Williams. I wouldn't rule him out.
Of those three, yes, I think he's got the best chance. But even so, I mean, part of the problem though is like he's different enough from AJ Dillon that they could definitely use him. He's not like an AJ Dillon clone, but if they don't bring back both Jones and Williams, if they both go, they got to get another back.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They have to get something that's not just a plotter, like a battering ram. Like,
they'll be spending some more draft capital on that. It won't be.
How many picks do they have?
They have 10 right now.
Well, yeah, the draft should be interesting if there's no ridiculous surprises.
Everybody spends so much time in the draft, but like the first, like the likelihood is we're gonna get one good one out of this.
I know,
right?
This cannot be the year that they do that, though. This has to be the year that they have to hit on more than half of their picks. It has to be instantaneous.
It's not super likely, though.
I know statistically.
Well,
for any team.
Yeah, I hear you, Jeremy.
Tampa's hit on their draft picks the past few years.
Well, Tampa's also been drafting high, like really high. I mean, once you get out of the top 10. I don't even want. I mean, look, I sit here and say the top 10 is like you can set on autopilot. That's not necessarily true, but the stats and everything precipitously falls after the top 10, and they've been drafting very high.
Right, but
I'm just saying that helps. That helps.
Right, but like Tampa, for example, their linebackers and secondary, only one of those gentlemen were a first-round draft pick. That was Devin White. The rest of them were second, third, fourth, and fifth-round draft picks.
I call them gentlemen.
Okay, Buck.
Dirtbags. No, I'm kidding.
Dirt bucks.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of drafting good player. That's what it comes down to.
Do you remember that one year when the Saints, I think they drafted, was it Kamara and that cornerback?
Marshawn Lattimore. Yeah.
Yeah. Those two, and they hit they knocked it out of the park with those two. I mean, something like that, I think would be very, very nice. If we could knock it out of the park with two guys. And I mean, look, the way the Packers are built in general, they have to draft well.
All I can think about is how I want to edit Andy out and stick Borat there. And go, very, very nice.
Where? At what point? When did I do that? I don't even know. Getting tired. Past my bedtime.
I know. I just want to. I want to just stick a Borat in there. I'm gonna totally try to do that.
And my wife, very nice. We have a sex time.
My God.
My sister is #1 prostitute. Sacha Baron Cohen's funny.
God.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, we're not going there.
I'm sorry. I
No,
couldn't
that's
help
funny.
it. You just said you weren't trying to do Borat, but
But
there's
it
just
sounded like it.
there was just a little bit of a Borat vibe.
No.
Just enough that I'm just like, oh my god, it was Borat.
I'll take it.
It was like Borat was in your ear telling you what to say.
I don't know what to say.
You had to be there.
I was there. I am here.
No, I this is what I'm not really convinced of. I think you are being puppet controlled by Borat.
All right, I can't even remember. Poor Jeremy. Jeremy's the football mind, and the rest of us are out of our minds.
It's the off season, and they can't make any deals, so it is a little rough.
I mean, when we're talking about other contracts and other players, like Devontae's got to be one.
I think he's the one.
Yeah, he's the one. Billy Turner's another one. Restructuring.
What about Christian Kirksey?
Christian Kirksey's gone.
You think he's gone?
Mm-hmm.
I saw somewhere. I think I can't remember if it was Andy Herman or somebody else, where they said that once they moved him to will linebacker, he played a lot better.
He did.
So I mean, maybe if he takes how much longer is his contract right now?
1 more year.
1 more year. I mean, they'd probably tell him that he need to take a cut, but
yeah,
because he did play better down the stretch in that.
He did
at that other linebacker role.
He did.
Sure.
But they also have 2 young up and coming guys that they're very high on too. We might not be so high on them, but they are.
I mean, yeah, that's the way the Packers. Like I said that I sent a GIF. Did you see that where it was the pack in the Slack channel? It was like with the Packers when they see a good inside linebacker in the draft, and it was a GIF of Monty Python when they go run away, run away. It was like when they go run away. It was like this is the Packers when they see. Oh Lord! Now I'm explaining GIFs, explaining memes on not good for podcast recording. But what other pending contracts do they have, or what free agents?
I mean,
Preston Smith, he's probably gone.
Preston Smith's probably gone. They could restructure Adrian Amos's contract. Guess who else is coming?
I like Amos.
Yes,
Amos played well.
Phenomenal.
Second half season, he was out of his mind.
And guess who else is coming up for a contract?
Za'Darius?
Jair Alexander.
Oh, geez, that's right. How did I forget him? Look, Devontae, 0 chance they let that guy walk.
No.
He might be the best cornerback in the league.
They're going to hand him the Bay of Green Bay. I mean,
as they should.
Yes.
In lieu of money. Lord.
You're not supposed to say that, Elliot. You're supposed to sell it that it's everything.
No, so he's going into the they could pick up the 5th year they could pick up the 5th year option, right?
He has a 5th year option because he was a 1st round draft pick, yes.
But it's 5th year option is this coming year?
No, next year.
Okay. But they're going to extend him before, if they're smart.
I don't know. I can tell you right now that most likely paying Jair Alexander is going to take a lot more than it would to pay Devontae Adams.
I think you're right. Could be right. And these are good problems to have. They got to find a way to. No way they lose Devontae, and no way they lose Jair Alexander. If they let that happen, all bets are off. That would be.
He's got to be.
They're coming back. But, who else for contract? Like, Tanyan's going to be restricted free agent this offseason. There's no guarantee that he's coming back. Because what you do is you basically, if you're restricted, you give him either a 1st round, 2nd round, or an original round tender.
Right? Yep.
Right. And if you give him a 1st round tender, then the team that wants to sign him, you have 5 days to match. Otherwise, you get the compensation of the contract that you gave, or the tender that you gave him. So if the Packers give him a 1st round tender, which is like $2.5 million or just a little bit less than that, then if somebody signs into a contract, Packers have 5 days to match it. If they refuse, they get the first round draft pick.
I like Tunyon. I mean, look, he did. I would try and keep him, but I don't know.
Hey,
You got to think they're all
for him. $2.5 million for him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you would think
Easy.
that's a no-brainer,
right?
But what do they think of Sternberger? I don't know.
I don't know what they think because we haven't seen him too much.
Yeah, and Tunyon is he's 3 times the player Sternberger is. Sternberger's been a disappointment.
Yeah, he has been.
He's a jag.
He's one of those guys.
Right now, he's a jag.
Well, he's one of those guys that the Packers have expected internal growth to kind of take hold of, and he's been hurt. And when he has played, he hasn't been that great. But
COVID, and then he had the concussion. He was out for like a month or something. I mean, he's constant setbacks. It's not good.
I mean, that is the other piece of it, right? I mean, this has been a weird year, so it's got to be tough making those decisions.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't. Oftentimes, I would like to think I would like to trade places with some of these people in management because I'm like, oh, some of these are no brainers, and you'd figure out a way, right? But like this year with, the income side of the ledger being tough and the player side potentially being tough, there's not a lot of easy decisions.
This team could look a lot different.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's gonna.
A lot of teams could look a lot different.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you see how many quarterbacks might be on the move?
Yeah.
Wow, it's crazy. Like Russell Wilson once out of Seattle or something. I saw it's like,
which
crazy.
To me, he defines Seattle. Like
some of these guys, they it's like they wake up one day and they're like, wait a minute, I have all the leverage. I'm just gonna start bitching.
Yeah.
Sometimes you wonder.
Well, and that's where I gotta wonder, like if apparently he's not all in, right? So that is Aaron Rodgers all in? This is what I want to know, right? Because it turns out
wonder about the Tom Brady effect too.
Yeah,
some of these guys got to be looking at what and they're like, wait a minute,
well,
somewhere else and win.
Yeah, you can go somewhere else, but you got to be all in. And Tom Brady went and he was all in, and that matters. It's not like you just show up and you're like, hand me my ring.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is the quarterbacks that are bitching, they think they have the...
Yeah, but I think they're going to take the wrong lesson. I think the idea there was Tom Brady recognized the situation and he knew that he wasn't going to get the right kind of deal, maybe not a deal at all in New England, and so he's like, well, so then I'm gonna take my pick of where I can go and be all in, and I'm gonna go for at least one more really hard. But I don't think anybody else is gonna learn that lesson. I mean, I feel like I hate the guy, but I respect his.
He's savvy. He is savvy.
Savvy is the right word. That is a way better word than I was going to come up with. I mean, the strategic mind of.
Strategic.
I mean, has he been playing this 4D chess for 5 years now? Like, I mean, I don't know. It's amazing, and I don't think anybody else is actually thinking it.
Well, in New England, you remember, like even Belichick admitted it out loud. He said they went all in the last whatever year. So it's like that. Part of it was because they had Brady. Part of it because it was Belichick, but part of it is they had a willing owner and they had a willing, Brady was a piece of it. But I don't know.
He was all in too.
Yeah.
And they knew it. And at some point, maybe.
Well, you're right, because I've even made the argument when it comes to like a Brady versus a Rodgers. It's like Brady would, without hesitation, would hand the ball off 50 times a game if it made him and he knew he'd win a game. I don't think Rodgers is capable of doing that.
If the balls are a little too inflated, he would. But
seriously, it's like he would hand the ball up 50 times and not think twice. He'd be like, right. It's fine.
No,
gets
totally.
me a ring.
Totally.
Rodgers, you'd be like, you could have a time machine and be like, look, I have seen the future. If you hand the ball 50 times, you have another trophy. He'd be like, I don't know.
He's like, but I'm really good at throwing.
Yeah, but the fact that they had the closest pass to run ratio they have had in 9 years this year. I don't think you're giving him enough credit.
I think that's a metaphor. I don't think Andy's saying like that he.
Yeah, what I'm saying is,
okay,
I'm
gotcha.
saying what I'm saying, it's all kind of a piece of it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it's a piece of it. I mean, look, let's be honest. The Packers beat themselves. They made mistakes everywhere, including coaching.
Yeah.
The janitor forgot to put in urinal cakes that day,
and I think that the piece that we're missing. And okay, fair enough. We're only 2 years in with our new coach, but
he had a bad day.
Tampa Bay, I don't know. They got a new quarterback, right? You kind of run out of excuses in some ways.
No,
LaFleur,
right? LaFleur got outcoached.
And you got to bring it all together. And so you either need individual players to step up a lot, or you need everybody to step up just a little bit.
Well, that is kind of like, we talked about it over and over. That's the beauty of the NFL. It is a true team game. It is.
Yeah, but I think we're treating it like it's a collection of stars, and they do have to play like a team. And sometimes you can get away with it. Sometimes you can fake it. And I think you can get away with a collection of stars, and you can make it all the way to the end, right? But the team won. The Buccaneers won because they were a team, and maybe they won by a little more because of some calls. Maybe they won by a little more because of this or that, but they were going to win. I mean, that the last 2 games, they were going to win. There was just
right.
There was nothing.
And their attitude, like we talked about before halftime, was to go for the touchdown, where the Packers were thinking we have to hold them to a field goal. That's the mindset that we need to reverse.
That's the microcosm right there.
Well,
playing not to lose versus ripping somebody's throat.
I hate to say, but I'm all about that. I always am.
No punting.
Going
4 downs. I agree.
I recognize sometimes you're just like, okay, you beat yourself up over the head for 4 downs and you didn't get it, but it's like, it doesn't matter. Okay, so you're going to lose because you suck this game, but you got to get yourself set up for the next game then. Because I'm sorry, like, you can't play to not lose. You got to play to win. Every game, every down, you got to play to win. I don't understand this mentality. I really don't. And this playing to not lose doesn't get you to the end. Doesn't.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
I totally agree with that. It seems so simple.
No, it doesn't, because it's easy to say.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is it seems so simple, but then you see guys who get paid millions of dollars and their entire livelihood is based on it, and they can get away from it in the biggest moment.
Right.
And that's
odd. And it's like, it's easy to point to them because they're on the big screen, right? But, in an individual's own life, it's easy to say that too, right? Like, oh, I just have to not lose. I mean, I have to not eat and I'll lose weight, right? Like, certain things are very simple, right? No, it's not always that simple. Sometimes the simplest things are super hard because they're right in front of you and you think, oh, that's easy, I can do that. No, sometimes the simple things are really hard. And you have to keep at it. You can't ever let up. And this is why when I see punts, I'm like, no, I don't even care if we have a punter. I don't. I don't. I don't. And this is why I didn't care that much when Brett Favre threw interceptions on 3rd down. I'm like, you know what? If he throws a deep ball on 3rd down, he was playing to win. Because what was the alternative? What was the alternative? He doesn't get the first, and then they punt. Well, kind of the same deal, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess, what's funny? I mean, look, Favre was obviously great, but I always say with him, $1 million talent, 10-cent head. People forget
he played to win.
He played.
I'm never going to doubt that. I'm never going to doubt that he played. He always played to win, but he won his one Super Bowl when they had the best offense, but also the number one defense. Mm-hmm. He had a defense,
absolutely,
in his prime when he won those Super Bowls, where it's like their defense was so good he didn't even have to worry about throwing interceptions. Right. That was a luxury to have, no question.
So I fully believe, and I think he believes too, that Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback.
But I bet he does.
But I think Brett Favre had more of a killer instinct and
That's interesting.
And a desire to win and a desire to compete and play.
That could be true.
And not just like a chip on my shoulder when something doesn't go my way. Like because I'm good and like my team sucks, or I'm good and I had a bad game.
To Elliot's point, was it 1994 or 93, 94? It was the game one of the last games in Milwaukee when we were playing Atlanta.
Oh, and he ran it in for a touchdown.
And we had to win that game in order to get in the playoffs. What did he do? He sacrificed his body and got hammered. But
Have
you know what?
Holmgren talk about that play?
But you know what? He scored a touchdown because he knew he had to do it, and he did it.
Right.
That's the difference. I think when Elliot talks about being a winner,
right.
Favre had no problem putting his body out there and taking a hit. Rodgers, I am not too sure that he wants to.
Now, I will say, on the other hand, as soon as Rodgers became kind of our full-time guy, as soon as he would take a sack, instead of just throwing the ball wherever to not get the sack, I felt like that took some more bravery than just throwing off the ball and like to not get, risk the interception to not get sacked. I thought that was just smarter strategy, but if you have to pick one over the other, boy, that's actually not that easy of a decision.
Yeah, I hear you.
And now I feel like I'm like second guessing my initial enthusiasm for Rodgers over Favre.
It's pros and cons. I think Rodgers. Yeah. He's so supremely talented. I think so much. I think he wants. Yeah. To your point, I think like the microcosm of do I want to take off and run for this and put my body in harm's way or make the throw?
Yeah, and I think
you do want that quarterback. You do want that quarterback who's like, I can make this throw.
But I think he's actually making these calculations in his mind, like a supercomputer, instead of just being instinctual about winning. And I think.
Okay.
I think he needs to do a little more instinctual winning, and
there could be something to that,
and maybe when they're off the field, boy, I don't know what happens. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. I just have a hard time believing that he's sitting in the locker room singing pants on the ground with the team,
you know how I feel about Favre, though. He's
a clown, and he's hypocritical, and he was in it for himself too. Okay, I'm not. This isn't like rose-colored glasses, but there was something to that, something to. There's a subtlety to it, and I don't think that Favre was necessarily a better leader, like compared to Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady, that's why they win. There's leadership off the field. I think more than anything, it's the off the field thing.
Yeah, Tom Brady, it's like it really is. I mean, as much as we love to hate the guy, I mean, the total package of on the field, off the field, savvy business, contracts, all that kind of stuff. It's. Yeah, there's definitely something. Look, we say rather than you make your own luck, as that you hear that's a big part of it. You make your own luck.
Yeah,
people say all this.
You make your own luck, but you also lift up everybody else around you. And I think Tom Brady does that well.
Favre was really good at that.
Yes, he was. Yeah. Yes, he was.
Favre, that is an area where I think Favre was better than Rodgers. He could elevate the play of.
Well, that's what I mean.
Him.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't take that I want to say it doesn't take that much, but it does. It take you because you have to. It's an everyday thing. You can't just turn that on. It has to be part of you. And if you don't if people have to buy in, and if they're out for a minute, like they're out, like they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna believe in you. And somehow Tom Brady does that. Or he does it for enough of the team.
Yeah, the other thing that's crazy, it's like the way we're talking, what's interesting, if you just kind of take a step back, it's like it almost makes it sound like the league is two teams. Yeah. But the league is 32 teams. So it's like Tom Brady it's like, it's just Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. How does it? But it's like, so he is such an anomaly. You got 31 other teams that are trying to do it.
But he is the anomaly, because if you look at otherwise, Rodgers is really the best.
Well, talent-wise, I'd take Rodgers 10 times out of 10.
Yeah. Okay, after the Super Bowl, there was a clip where Brady and Leonard Fournette, the starting running back from Tampa Bay, embraced. And Leonard Fournette was released by Jacksonville. It was a controversial thing. And he came in, signed a contract with Tampa. And, long story short, they win. And Fournette goes to Brady. He says, "Thank you for having me." And you know what Brady says? "Don't thank me. Thank you, man. Thank you." And that is the difference. I think Aaron Rodgers would never thank somebody for coming here, where I think he feels entitled, like everybody should want to come here. And I don't think he has
Maybe.
that's
interesting.
He doesn't have that
right.
I don't know what that word is,
but you wonder.
Tom Brady just has a way of making everybody feel welcome and making you want to play hard for him.
Yeah.
No, that's a yeah.
I think you're right.
And I mean, look, history is the best precursor. It's the best measurement to know what you'll do in the future, right? That's how you make decisions. And if people are looking at Brady's history, the guy's won 7 rings. He's been to 10 Super Bowls.
Right.
So his history's pretty good.
Right.
So if they're making the decision of, why guys want to do this, just look at Brady's history, and that tells you the future.
And he knows, I mean, like you said, he's been to 10 Super Bowls. He knows in all those 10 Super Bowls, he needed teammates around him to get him there. He wasn't going to do it on his own. He knows that.
Right.
He knows it's a team game.
Yeah.
Where Rodgers, I've said this last year. I've said it in the years past. I have to question his mindset as far as, can he get beyond himself?
Well, that's what I was making. That's the exact point I was making. I think just in a slightly different way when I said Brady would hand the ball off 40 times without blinking if it meant he was going to win a game, where Rodgers would be like, I don't know if I could do that. It's kind of 2 different ways of saying the same thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, he does more than show up for work.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Rodgers?
No, Brady.
Oh,
I mean,
Rodgers does too. I mean,
Rodgers does most of the time.
There are times where you have to question.
I think he's great. I mean, honestly, he's all-time great. Definitely Hall of Fame caliber. All of the things, right? I mean, whatever. I mean, embarrassment of riches for us to even sound like we're trash talking Rodgers. I'm far from it. Yeah. I just wish I wish all the teams in the league would just would be competitive with Tom Brady in the regard of just be teams, the guy went from a championship team and went to another team and made him a championship team by making them a team. They weren't a team before that. He made them a team. And I don't care how you do it, but that makes it special, it makes it.
Well, winning is contagious. Losing is contagious.
Yeah.
I said, that's the whole history thing. It's like he's bringing a history of winning and all that entails.
But having a team, having a team full of, fun personalities who are pulling for each other, man, the fans love that too, right? As a fan, don't you want to see that? You're pulling for that, that. I don't want to see these contract discussions into spot. I want to see them just yeah, my agent is going to take care of that, but we're going to get something done. I just want them to make it work. And I understand sometimes you gotta be able to talk tough. Right. But, we're running out of time to win another one,
Yeah.
And they should all know that.
Here's an interesting thing. I mean, I want more than anything else to see Aaron Rodgers get another contract. It's up to him.
Right.
To put the Packers. Pickled Packers. Yeah. It's up to Rodgers to put the Packers in an unbelievably untenable situation where they'd have to give him find a way to get him. I mean, comes back next year, wins the Super Bowl, damn near has another MVP. That changes everything.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That would be quite a thing to put. Can you imagine if that happened though?
And it's such a turnaround for me from last week, because last week I was 30 other teams would love to be in our seat, right? You got the MVP quarterback, you made it to the second to last game. Everybody else is looking at you saying, shut up. Right. Yep. I understand. but we want to be at least that good next year.
Yeah, think about. I mean, you talk about no excuses, man. If they don't even make an NFC Championship game next year,
yeah,
it's a miserable failure.
Yeah, right. So it's like you always want to be looking at how you can improve, not status quo. Even and this is the thing about a team, right? You lift each other up, and all the things we said, right? I think in Tampa Bay, what are they saying? They're saying, how can we get better for next year?
Right. And I think I said this before. The Packers prefer to take the steady path rather than go all in and push all the chips in. They just want to. They want to check. And that's just the way that they do business.
I will say this until I die. With the Packers, completely top down, the entire organization, they value continuity over all else.
Yeah.
Period. Permeates everything. They will value continuity over going on.
But at some points, at some phase of the process, either at the beginning or the end, somebody has to be willing to go in once in a while.
Not if all you value is continuity. If that is the end game.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I hear what you're saying, but I think their end game is continuity.
But that risks it all. Complacency is look at business. You name any big business, and
good is the enemy. My dad says this all the time. Good is the enemy of great.
We make jokes about capitalism and big business and everything. But the bottom line is the biggest companies in the world were not even, most of them weren't even companies 50 years ago.
Yeah,
and so that turns over because of complacency. You think, how can the number one company in the world, they have all the money. Yeah. They have all the money, doubt. Right? And so you get complacent. And that's how it happens. So you can't have that attitude ever. And it makes me crazy. It makes me sad. And I live so close. I look down there and I'm like, I just want to shake that stadium. I don't know.
Billy Madison with the fat kid. Cherish it.
Yes. That's a good place.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Good again.
It's a good place to close it off.
Cherish it. You remember that scene?
I totally do.
Cherish it. Good is the enemy of great.
Yes.
There's truth in that.
It is.
Oh, I think that there's a lot of truth with the Packers.
Yeah. And
unfortunately. That's why Elliot's ringing his head. That's why I'm ringing my head. That's why you're banging your head, because you're like, just that little extra step, man. Just do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
And I feel like this whole offseason, I'm going to go from one extreme to the other. I'm going to be like, but they made it to the end, but they don't push it. They made it to the end. And I feel like there's like the devil and the, I'm like, they're making me crazy. Because it's like, they're right there, but it's like, they don't want to take it.
One thing I do like, that they have done, and this is basically just more of a LaFleur thing. Look, McCarthy and even Sherman, those guys were loyal to a fault. And they would hang on to guys too long. I mean, LaFleur's been to 2 NFC championships in his first 2 seasons, and he's fired 2 coordinators. And other, so in a way, you're like, wow, that's kind of interesting, but it's like, never would that happen under Sherman and McCarthy. No chance.
That is a good call out.
Well, I mean,
now, obviously, it remains to be seen.
Yeah, but
question.
But it's a good sign.
But to compare, you're right. He fired 2 coordinators in 2 seasons, but McCarthy also fired 2 coordinators in 3 seasons. So,
who am I thinking of?
Bob Sanders, their defensive coordinator, from 2006 to 2008. And then whoever the special teams coach was.
I guess what I'm getting at is they've had a ton of success, relatively speaking, and he's still fired coordinators.
So some of that, though, is sometimes that's like clearing out the old regime, too.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with that, too, because sometimes they want to bring their buddies in and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. I mean, look how long it took for McCarthy to move on from Capers. Ridiculous. You could argue he did it 5 years too late. Like literally 5 years too late. Half a decade. And he had, look, LaFleur has had miserable special teams as well. But one of his handpicked guys was the guy, Menenga, he fired him. So it's, again, what I'm just kind of getting at there is, in some weird twisted way, it's good to see this, that he's not hanging on to the dead weight too long.
Yeah, you know what?
Right.
I think that's a good positive note, though. Like, I feel like you took me. I was ready to jump off the top of the building, and
look, LaFleur's not dumb. He knows Rodgers is his cash cow. He knows Rodgers is why they're great.
Yeah.
He's like, time's running out. He knows more than anybody. He's like, my God, we got to do something with this guy.
Yeah,
I think that is in the back of his mind too.
I
This
hope
passive aggressive thing with Rodgers, where he's like, my guy's 37.
Right. That's just got to be an impossible, like, right at that point, right? You're like,
yeah, it's a weird,
right?
It is what it is, though.
Right. So, anything else?
Yep.
We done?
That's pretty good.
Wrap it up.
Go Pack, go.
Podcast.
Chair.
I know, right?